Justin, known for being a jerk at school, and Jack, famous for his looks, made a bet about who could win me over first. Me, the poor kid. They posed as sweethearts and launched a massive pursuit to win me over. Once I was head over heels, gave my first kiss and love, they cruelly revealed the truth. Everyone in school knew about this conquest live stream except me. And nobody, did you really think the rich boys would fall for you? I was like a drowning dog, laughed at and shunned by everyone. In a haze, I fell into the water and died. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the first day of the conquest live stream. After school, I was cornered in the stairwell. Justin leaned over, giving me this playful look. Luna, I heard you aced the midterms again. Justin was the only son of Sky Group, a big New York company. Grew up in luxury. As the biggest sponsor of Innis Academy, Sky Group's got some political ties too. Last time, Justin asked me to help him cheat on the midterms, I shot him down. He ended up with a lousy 2-digit score and got an earful from his grandpa Mark. Justin blamed it all on me. He always used his fists on guys he hated. But hitting a girl? Nah, too low for him. So, Justin came up with this prank, bet with his buddy Jack about who'd win over the poor kid first. Jack snagged the school's surveillance access and broadcasted the whole thing on the campus forum. For kicks, Justin even started a school-wide betting pool on when I'd kiss one of them first. Whoever guessed closest would snatch the entire tip jar from the live stream. With rebellious Justin, cool scholarly Jack, and a huge prize pool, all eyes at Innis Academy were glued to this. I was just a naive high schooler. How could I resist the grand romantic gestures from these two hotties? After I accepted Jack's confession, Justin, having lost the bet, was furious. He cruelly broke it to me. Surprise. This is a romance conquest, and, yep, it's all live streamed. Still think you're so smart? More like full of yourself. Did you really think guys like us would fall for a hick like you? Just like that, I became the laughingstock of the whole school. To them, my early coldness was me playing hard to get, my later warmth was being a try-hard, and finally, my affection was seen as desperate and pitiful. Everyone laughed at my pitiful stupidity. My grades plummeted, dropping me out of the top 50 by the finals. Lost my scholarship, leaving my family in debt. On a trip to work for my tuition, my parents got in a fatal car accident. Devastated, in a daze, I accidentally fell into the pool and drowned silently in that winter of sophomore year. Afterward, the school blamed my death on academic stress and brushed it off lightly. Justin, shaken, was sent abroad. He lived recklessly, girlfriend after girlfriend, every one of them rumored to somehow resemble me. Jack took over the company as an adult, became a renowned charitable businessman for his donations to underprivileged areas. Married a lady entrepreneur from the countryside. At his wedding, he looked at his bride with such tenderness, saying she reminded him of his first crush. Hey Luna, weren't you listening? Justin waved a hand in front of me. With his wild and daring look, and those deep eyes that made you feel like prey under his gaze. I knew, the conquest live stream had started. The campus forum comments were flying. What luck does Luna have, with both Justin and Jack after her? I'll bet a week's allowance Jack wins. Who can say no to the cool, aloof genius? Then I'll put my money on Justin. Justin took a deep breath, trying to keep cool, repeating. I said, I came to offer you a way to make money. I heard your family's from the sticks, you could probably use the cash, right? How about tutoring me? $100 per lesson. Deal? I glanced at the stairwell camera and said softly. Thanks for the offer, Justin. But I've got plans for the weekend. Weekend. I walked out of school. Paused by the mirror and glanced up at myself. Lean and reserved, pale skin, a face that looked a bit plain without much expression. My eyes were my best feature behind those thick glasses. Sure, I could take off the glasses now to change how people see me. But isn't it more memorable if they discover it on their own? I knew, even if I dodged their tricks now, Justin and Jack would come up with new ones. With what I know now, I can't fight these two powerful figures yet. But at least this time, I know their game plan. They want to act? Fine, I'll put on my own show. Who can't act, right? I lowered my gaze and headed to the flower shop where I usually worked. Most students at Innis Academy are filthy rich. For its reputation, the school accepts a few top-notch students each year. Besides doing well, these students share another trait: they're usually broke. Not too broke to choose a foreign prestigious school for the scholarship money. If I stayed in the top 10, I'd get free tuition and $500 monthly. And since enrolling, I've only ever ranked first. So I sent my scholarship money home, working part-time for living expenses. Flower shop. Before I even stepped inside, I could hear Jenny's excited voice. "Luna, we got a big order today." Her phone screen showed a delivery order. Sue asked for Freud roses. The order specified top-notch material from Ecuador. Jenny's face was flushed. This could earn us 5 figures. Last time, Justin canceled my flower shop job. He shelled out big bucks, ordering loads of Freud roses. After running all over town trying to collect them, Justin casually said, "Boring, I don't want them." With Justin's influence, Jenny couldn't file a claim and had to bear the huge loss. She started the store to escape her abusive husband. After that mess, she had to close up shop and go back home with him. Seeing me upset, Jenny seemed puzzled. "Luna, what's wrong?" I shook my head. "Jenny, something's off with this order. Hold off on the materials for now." Though hesitant, Jenny agreed to delay the bulk orders, promising to wait and see. In the next week, I stopped going to the library to study. Instead, I hid in my dorm right after class. Justin couldn't even find a way to see me if he tried. The plan had barely started, and already the progress was worrying. Justin was visibly frustrated. Just like I expected, he couldn't sit still for even a week. On Saturday, Jenny was napping in the storage room, leaving me alone to watch the shop. I just finished a practice paper when I saw a tall, familiar silhouette pass by the flower shop window. I immediately realized it was time. Just then, Jenny's phone vibrated on the cash register. Without hesitation, I answered the call. Less than 10 minutes later, a bald man with a beer belly stormed into the flower shop. Bang! He kicked the door open and angrily demanded, "Where's that bitch Jenny?" Jenny awoke from the commotion, stumbling out sleepily from the storage room. As soon as she saw the man, terror crossed her face. "What are you doing here?" The bald man sneered and reached to grab Jenny's hair. I quickly stepped in front of her, loudly asking, "Who are you? What do you want?" He laughed derisively. "Who am I? I'm her man. It's my right to hit my woman. If you don't get out of the way, I'll hit you too." I trembled with fear but managed to shout, "Domestic violence is illegal. If you don't leave, I'll call the cops." The bald guy sneered and pushed me onto the ground. I scrambled back, my glasses flying off, as my knee knocked against the threshold painfully. I let out a scream, curling up in discomfort. But as I looked down, a barely noticeable smile played on my lips. I wasn't mistaken, the figure I saw outside the flower shop was none other than Justin. I knew Justin's live stream camera was clipped to his collar. That thing was high-end, top-tier in picture and sound quality. Both Justin and his viewers must have seen us getting bullied. I understood Justin too well. He's not just a reckless brat, but also a hot-headed young guy. Whether propelled by the plan or his impulsive nature, he was definitely going to step in. The stage was set for this hero saving the damsel act. Now, it was time for the lead to make an entrance. Sure enough, within a second, I saw a pair of long legs step over the threshold into the shop. Before anyone could react, Justin was already scrapping with the bald man. The forum's comments section exploded. "OMG, so cool. He's blowing our minds. This hero rescue act is as genuine as it gets, aw. Things are looking up for Justin now. I'm off to bet on him." No way, the live stream pool just shot up to 1.74 million, and it's still climbing. The final winner's in for a treat. Even though Justin knew karate, the bald guy's massive frame was nearly double Justin's size. At first, Justin's combat skills gave him an edge, but soon, the guy's weight advantage seized a moment of weakness. He pinned Justin under him. Amongst the chaos of the flower shop, the bald man with bloodshot eyes pressed heavily on Justin and gripped his neck tightly. He spat at Justin, cursing, "Think you can mess with me? Are you her boyfriend, huh?" Justin's face turned red as he struggled, gasping for breath. Just as he teetered on the brink of passing out, I picked up a glass vase and hurled it at the bald man's head. Smash! The man paused, then fell heavily to the ground. Justin took a few breaths, mustering the strength to kick the massive body off him. Looking around with a grim face, his eyes widened suddenly at the sight. Reflected in his amber eyes was my silhouette, backlit, a tearful, trembling girl holding a vase. "You," he began, but the vase slipped from my hands, rolling to the ground with a crisp clatter. Unable to hold my injured legs any longer, I staggered forward. Justin instinctively reached out, catching me. Falling into his arms, I felt his heart pounding like a drum. The bridge effect suggests that when one's heart speeds up due to a stressful situation, they might mistakenly attribute this response to love. That scene was something I'd meticulously designed for Justin. The impulsive hero trying to save someone, only to be saved by the girl in the end. Every expression, every action, I'd rehearsed 1,000 times in my mind. Listening to his pounding heartbeat, I trembled with excitement. Justin awkwardly patted my shoulder, offering a rare bit of clumsy comfort. "Don't be scared, don't cry. It's all good now." The bald man, Jenny's husband, was arrested for assault. Despite domestic violence usually receiving light sentences, this time, Justin was the one injured. With his vengeful nature, the bald guy wasn't seeing freedom anytime soon. Jenny showered Justin with thanks, constantly praising him as the modern young hero. Justin, usually the troublemaker, was stunned to find himself praised for his courage. He rubbed at the scrape on his nose, his cheeks tinged with a suspicious hint of red. "No big deal, I just came to see Luna. Didn't expect this to happen. No need to thank me, it was on the way." To express my gratitude to Justin, I volunteered to tutor him on weekends. Even though he was obviously pleased, he still pretended to be aloof. "Next Saturday, 3 p.m., at my private villa. And lose those broken glasses, they're ugly." Weekend. Justin's private villa study. I was tutoring him in math. In my past life, this was when I discovered the truth behind the flower shop's closure. I had a huge fight with Justin, and the tutoring ended on a bad note. But this time, I was determined to take tutoring Justin seriously. A few math problems later, Justin's expression cleared up. Watching him chew on the pen cap, staring blankly at the first question, I silently sighed. Meanwhile, the live stream comments were reveling. "Justin must regret this tutoring now, eh? That's what he gets. I can't watch." He tried flirting with Luna a bunch of times, and she just stayed focused on teaching. Am I the only one who thinks Luna's teaching is great? Even as a math newbie, I get it. At the same time, I noticed the old butler peeking through the doorway, recording on his phone. Despite trying to keep quiet, he was clearly thrilled. "Sir, ma'am, the heavens smile upon us. Justin's actually studying math." Seeing Justin about to doze off for the third time, I said helplessly, "We're done for today." Justin reflexively agreed, then caught himself. Oh. That's how it works. I get it. Wait, class is over?" I nodded. "Your foundation is weak. Take it step by step." Justin nodded eagerly, relief flooding his face like a near-death survivor. Before leaving, I took a single Freud rose from my backpack. Handing it to Justin, he looked bewildered. "You got me a flower?" I casually nodded, "Yes. There was a cancelled order at the shop, and we paid a hefty penalty. I took the bonus Jenny gave me to get you a flower. Thanks for helping us last time." Seeing the complex expression on Justin's face, I raised an eyebrow and said, "If you don't want it, that's fine." Justin immediately grabbed the flower from my hand and exclaimed, "Who said I don't want it?" As I walked out of the villa, the sun was already setting. In the dim light of dusk, a figure was riding a horse, galloping across the field outside the villa. Upon spotting me, Jack reined his horse in and rode up to me. He had a striking appearance, and his sharp white riding outfit made him look even taller. Jack's family wasn't as prestigious as the Sky Group, more like new tech upstarts. But Jack always carried himself gracefully with charm and poise, earning him high praise from students and teachers alike. In my previous life, I was deceived by his facade and accepted his confession. When Justin told me it was just a game to win me over, I couldn't believe it, until Jack admitted it himself. When I confronted him, he smiled sweetly but said the most hurtful words. "Luna, I just realized you really look like the girl of my dreams. But she's pure and sweet, not as cheap as you. So what if you're top of the class every time, you're just subpar goods?" If Justin's cruelty was naive, Jack's was pure malice. At this moment, under the setting sun, Jack looked down gently at me and said, "Thanks for tutoring Justin. I'll rely on you to keep helping him." I looked straight into his pretty eyes without hesitation. "Are you trying to say Justin has a bad temper that's hard to deal with, so I should put up with him?" Jack was startled but quickly chuckled, "That's not what I meant." Meanwhile, the chestnut horse suddenly snorted and nuzzled against my hand affectionately. Jack looked surprised. "Andrew is a Hanoverian warm blood with a bad temper. He's never been so nice to a stranger before. He really likes you." I laughed inwardly. Hanoverians are known for being calm and gentle. How could he have a bad temper? I understood the meaning behind the lie. Being as straightforward as Justin, people can become wary. But Jack, he's a clever hunter. In my previous life, he lowered my guard with seemingly coincidental interactions, gradually increasing my affection for him until I willingly gave him my first kiss. Seeing I didn't really react, Jack leaned forward slightly and gracefully extended his hand to me. "Luna, want to go for a ride?" With the beautiful sunset, the handsome young man, and the perfect atmosphere, all made Jack sure I wouldn't refuse. But he was wrong. In the past, Jack pulled me onto the horse and used the suspension bridge effect while we were riding to make my heart race, starting the romance. But now, I glanced at his extended hand and suddenly asked, "What's that?" Thrown off track again, Jack had a brief flicker of impatience in his eyes. He retrieved his hand and unpinned a black iris brooch from his collar, handing it to me. I stared at the black pin. I knew Jack's spy camera was hidden in it. He was not only resourceful but bold, daring to show it to me directly. The chat room was filled with nervous comments. "Why do I feel like she's looking at me through the camera? Creepy. No way, Jack's company makes the most advanced camera gear, plus the forum blocks her out. Wow, let me send a carnival gift." As I eyed the iris pin, Jack said casually, "Do you like it?" "You can have it if you do." I turned my gaze away and awkwardly smiled. "No need. I don't like the meaning behind black irises." Jack insisted on driving me back to school. Truthfully, the villa wasn't far from school, just a 10-minute drive. The issue was that there wasn't a direct bus line. Looking at Jack sitting in the Lamborghini Revuelto, I felt awkward. "You're not of age yet." Jack smiled and waved a driver's license at me. "No worries, I got it abroad." "So, Luna, may I have the honor of giving you a ride?" On the way back, I quietly studied vocabulary in the back seat. Meanwhile, the live chat buzzed with excitement. Jack is so cool. Why shame the poor student? Maybe she's playing hard to get to win him over? Like in all those drama shows. Am I the only one noticing the awesome engine sound of this supercar? The car soon came to a stop at the school entrance. I tried to open the door, but it was locked. Frowning, I looked towards Jack in the driver's seat as he jokingly asked, "Luna, how do you plan to pay the fare?" I pulled out 2 crumpled $100 bills from my bag and handed them over with a pained expression. "Keep the change." Jack's eyes crinkled with a smile. that's generous, but I don't need the money. We silently stared each other down for a few seconds. Then, I tilted my head slightly and opened my mouth. Have we met before? Jack, I just realized, you look a lot like the person I've been thinking of. The chat room erupted in boos. What a cheesy pickup line. Does she think Jack will fall for that? It's right out of a drama. Has anyone noticed Jack hasn't said anything in a bit? Jack looked at me with slight hesitation. I smiled and added, but he's pure and nice. He wouldn't lock a girl in a car like you. After I got out, I stood by the car and happily stuffed those $200 bills through the open window. The loud roar of the departing car faded along with my smile. In my past life, Jack said at the wedding that the bride's smile reminded him of his first love. Jack and I had vastly different backgrounds, we couldn't have grown up together. So, there was only one possibility: Jack had someone he loved, and I happened to look like her. Now knowing this, of course, I would use it to my advantage. So, I pretended to be like his past love. Jack is perceptive and paranoid. People like him, you give them a vague question, they'll put in the effort to find the answer, and during that time, he would naturally get to know me better. Repeated exposure increases familiarity and favor. Long-term affection, that's how it works. Looking back, I owe the old Jack gratitude for teaching me so many tricks. The following months were calm and quiet. I went back and forth between the classroom, library, and cafeteria every day. On weekends, I worked at the flower shop and then tutored Justin. Every time I went to see Justin, I'd bring a Freud rose. Justin was awkward at first, but gradually got used to it. I wasn't dismissive of teaching him because of what happened in a past life. I patiently and carefully went through the knowledge with him. In my past life, I got criticized for not tutoring Justin. People said I was just a stubborn, insincere country bumpkin. Some even accused me of cheating when my grades fell after I got depressed. This time, I'm not leaving any room for criticism. As the weather grew colder, winter arrived with its long nights and short days. The first semester of sophomore year was wrapping up, and final exams were around the corner. It was the weekend. At a private villa, Justin sat at the desk, looking a little nervous. So, how did I do? I put down the red pen I'd been using to grade papers. You got 63 on this math test. That's progress. Did I pass? The old butler, who had clearly been prepared, shouted with joy and then set off a small party popper he'd somehow gotten his hands on. Boom, confetti and streamers filled the air, and Justin suddenly pulled me up from my chair, spinning me around. I was startled, regretting not mentioning that the full score was actually 150. The butler quietly left the room and thoughtfully closed the door. Feeling dizzy, I knocked on Justin's head in frustration. Put me down. If you spin me one more time, there won't be any flowers today. Hearing that, Justin quickly set me down, saying playfully, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have teased you. I won't do it again. Where are my flowers? Hurry and reward me. I glared at him and handed him a rose. Justin took the flower and smiled mischievously. Just kidding, I'm going to tease you next time too. With finals approaching, I was becoming increasingly busy. In the library, while I was previewing next semester's courses, someone tapped my shoulder. I looked up to see a round-faced girl with short hair. Her face was flushed as she handed me a pink envelope. Luna, can you give this letter to Jack? I frowned and didn't take it. The girl's name was Mary, a top student like me who got in through her grades. In my past life, she was one of the few who didn't participate in the entire live stream strategy thing. After I died, she learned the truth and even wrote a report for me. Unfortunately, Jack's family intercepted the letter, and nothing came of it. Seeing my silence, Mary hurried to explain, every weekend when you go for tutoring, it's Jack who brings you back. So I thought I could trouble you. I directly refused, sorry, I can't help you. Mary looked confused and paused briefly. Why? Do you like Jack too? With that, the surroundings went silent. Some onlookers started sneaking glances at me. I glanced at a few surveillance cameras on the ceiling and then shook my head at Mary. I just can't. Mary was too kind-hearted to match wits with the crafty Jack. I didn't want her to repeat my past mistakes. But because of the ever-present streaming cameras, I couldn't tell her the truth. I just hoped she would give up on her own. Mary bit her lip, stomped a foot, and forced the pink envelope into my hands. If you don't like Jack, then help me. Luna, thanks. Watching her run off, I stood there with no expression, clutching the love letter tightly. After that incident, Justin's attitude towards me suddenly turned cold. Normally, he would send me hundreds of messages a day, math problems, emojis, and even meaningless rambling. Now, he'd gone silent for a week straight. With the pressure of my studies, I enjoyed the peace and didn't think about reaching out myself. If I could see the live stream comments, I'd find that viewers were already starting to pray for me. Looks like Justin's mad. Justin really cares about that love letter. Saturday afternoon came. I arrived at Justin's villa. After pressing the doorbell, nobody came to open the door. I pulled out my phone to message Justin, only to see the red exclamation mark indicating I'd been blocked. I frowned and pressed the doorbell again. 10 minutes passed with no response. I'm not the most perceptive, but I got the hint, I wasn't welcome. I turned to leave when I heard the door click open behind me. Come in. A cold voice called out. I walked in to find Justin lazily lounging on the living room sofa, half-heartedly playing a video game. Feeling awkward, I stood there unsure of what to do. After the game ended, Justin finally looked at me. Oh, you remembered to find me, huh? I thought you were never going to explain. I was puzzled. Explain what? I'm here to tutor you. Tutor? Justin let out a cold laugh. We haven't spoken in forever. I thought the big genius forgot about tutoring me. He tossed the controller aside, grabbed my wrist and half-dragged, half-pulled me up to the second-floor study. Justin pushed me into the study and slammed the door shut. I stumbled, unable to get a word out before he swept everything off the desk onto the floor. Amid the mess, he pulled me onto the desk without a word. Sitting there, looking disheveled and annoyed, I was getting angry. But Justin didn't seem to care. He leaned in, bracing his arms on the desk next to me. As I leaned back, feeling trapped, I snapped, Justin, what's gotten into you? But before I could finish, he grabbed my chin and kissed me fiercely. Startled, I reflexively slapped him. A sharp crack echoed in the study, and silence fell once more. Justin slowly turned his head, his gaze fierce and icy. With measured words, he demanded, Luna, tell me, why did you throw away that love letter to Jack? I took a deep breath. Justin, we have a straightforward working relationship. I tutor you. You pay for my time and knowledge. Beyond math problems, I'm not obligated to explain anything to you. Justin gazed at me a long time, then suddenly laughed sardonically. A working relationship? Every time you came, you brought me a Freud rose. Is that a working relationship? I met his eyes. Like you wanted, I didn't bring any flowers this time. Justin narrowed his eyes dangerously. What? I didn't explain, just repeated calmly, this time, no flowers. Flowers are a reward. Since you don't want them, there won't be any now or ever. The implication was he didn't need to arrange tutoring with me in the future. Justin stubbornly stared at me, searching for any hint of defiance on my face. When he realized my expression remained completely serene, his eyes slowly grew darker. So in the end, it was always just about money. I just had to buy you? Great. I have plenty of money. Maybe you special students aren't even as valuable as my family's horses. I hit him with everything I had. Justin grew up being pampered by his family, and at school, he was like royalty, always getting his way. When had he ever been slapped around by someone like this? He hung his head low, veins bulging on his arms, clearly on the verge of exploding in anger. Just as I was getting ready to kick him right where it counts, there were 2 knocks on the study door, and it opened from the outside. The old butler, sweating bullets, came in with a platter of sliced fruit, voice trembling. "Master, maybe your classmate Luna would like some fruit?" I shoved Justin aside, jumped off the table, snatched my backpack from the floor, and headed for the door. As I walked out of the study, Justin's low, threatening voice trailed behind me. "Luna, if you walk out that door today, don't regret it later." I paused for just a second and then strode out without looking back. As I walked down the stairs, I heard a loud crash from the second floor, like furniture being toppled over. Meanwhile, the live chat was buzzing like crazy. What was that insane scene? Amazing. Luna was so courageous just now, those slaps were loud. I bet on them kissing today, my big payout is gone. Do we get bonus points for no classes today? I even set an alarm. At the villa's entrance, Jack leaned against the door frame, grinning. "So, did you have a fight with Justin?" "I told you before, cut him some slack." His collar was bare, he wasn't wearing the black iris pin with the hidden camera. I had no patience for his smug attitude, but Jack stopped me in my tracks. He suddenly asked, "Haven't you got a sweet crush? Why are you messing with others? Girls who play all sides get punished, you know." That's when I noticed something off in his tone, and a suspicion crept into my mind. I locked eyes with him. "Was it you who set up Mary's love letter?" Bingo. Jack gently clapped his hands, his eyes sparkling with excitement. He looked thrilled, like he was playing the world's most fun game. "I knew that girl liked me. I hinted she could send a love letter through you. It was easy. After all, aren't you the top student who gets along with us best?" I almost laughed out of disbelief. "So what's your goal? Just to make Justin hate me?" Jack calmly fiddled with a ring on his finger. "I want you to tell me everything about you and your crush. Like, is he why you came to Inyas Academy?" He was pushing me to prove my identity. I kept a poker face. "I'm not in the mood to answer that today, so please, just let it be." Jack chuckled again. "All right. But I believe one day you'll beg me, begging to tell me everything." On the school forum, Jack's live feed was still a blackout, and everyone crowded into Justin's channel. With tech these days, it's wild to see Jack live stream a meltdown. Seriously, doesn't make sense why people go after Jack. My husky is smarter. It's probably for the best. Luna as a poor kid marrying rich would only get victimized by a wicked mother-in-law. To the rumor spreader, no, Justin's parents actually like Luna. Everyone was stunned by Justin's level of rage, and they pitted and mocked me in turns. They predicted this hunting live stream would soon end because of Justin's newfound disdain for me. Meanwhile, I returned to my dorm. I worked to calm my emotions, spread out my pre-study notes, and forced myself to keep studying. A new week began. Justin and I were still in a cold war. I was the disciplinary commissioner this week, organizing this semester's swimming test. After the test ended, just as I was about to shut the swimming pool doors, I heard some laughter inside. I hesitated for a second, then reopened the door. Inside the pool, a group of students were by the water's edge. They were boys and girls, all looking fabulously dressed, obviously wealthy. In the pool, a short-haired girl with a round face was trembling as she repeatedly dove underwater as if searching for something. On the edge, the lead girl laughed. "Mary, hurry up and find it. My watch is worth millions, you know. If you can't get it, you'll have to pay." The pool's heating had turned off since the swimming test ended, leaving icy cold water. Mary hugged her arms, eyes red-rimmed. "I'm sorry, Lisa. I didn't mean." Lisa coldly cut her off. "I said find it. Weren't you trying everything to get close to Jack? If you like him so much, I'm giving you a chance now." Lisa having a crush on Jack was almost public knowledge. Her picking on Mary wasn't surprising. Having no other choice, Mary dived back into the freezing water, hoping to find the watch so she'd be left alone. Watching her, I clenched my fists. This school was crawling with kids from powerful families who could decide the future of other students or even the faculty at their whim. Right now, I should probably just walk away. After all, Mary had nothing to do with me. I'm struggling on my own, having already done enough when I took the blame for that love letter. But seeing Mary's face turning blue with cold, I remembered my last moments from my past life before I died. I lost my scholarship, even my ID card was suspended. It's tough when you're broke. Nobody wanted to loan me money, so I worked outside the campus a lot, getting by on just 2 buns a day. That day, after barely finishing my swimming test, I got the call about my parents' death. I hid in the locker room, crying my heart out for the first time. I told myself to persevere, even if fate played tricks and misfortunes rained down like arrows blocking the sun, I'd keep fighting under the shadow. I wouldn't surrender, I'd survive. Leaving the pool, I spotted something shiny, a coin by the poolside. I turned back to pick it up but slipped into the winter pool. Though I was a strong swimmer, at that moment, I was starving, freezing, and utterly exhausted. Even as I drowned, I struggled with my last ounce of strength, reaching up to the surface, seeking a sliver of hope. Mary kept diving to find the watch. I stayed expressionless, taking out my phone, sending a location to Jack. He replied quickly, coming to beg me. Ignoring him, I placed my phone on a nearby chair, then raised my voice to the group by the pool. If you lost something, the pool manager could drain the pool. No need to put someone through this. To drain the pool, Mary needed to be out of the water first. Mary had just crawled out when Lisa suddenly pointed at me, "Hold her down." Several lackeys moved in, twisting my arms, shoving me toward Lisa. I realized I couldn't fight them off, the best I could do was buy time. So I didn't struggle unnecessarily. Lisa grabbed the hair at the back of my head, yanking it hard to make me look up. She studied me for a bit, then sneered, "Not much of a beauty, huh? A poor student like you, ticking off someone you shouldn't. Where did you get the guts to play hero for others?" Someone tried to lighten the mood. "No need to get your hands dirty hitting her," they said to Lisa. Lisa nodded in agreement. Turning to Mary with a sugary voice, Lisa said, "Mary, come over and give her 2 slaps, and we'll call it even about that watch." Mary looked at Lisa in shock, completely taken aback. What? Hearing such a disgusting demand, I squinted in disbelief. Meanwhile, Lisa got even more excited. She upped the ante. "If you can make her cry, we won't bother you at school anymore." They pushed Mary in front of me, her body shaking like a leaf, worse than when she was in the icy water earlier. Our eyes locked. With a voice tinged with sobs, she muttered, "Luna, I am sorry." Then a slap landed on my face. Lisa laughed out loud. "There's one more, don't go easy, hit harder." Another slap. My head turned with the force, causing my new glasses to drop to the ground. Lisa turned my face back, pretending to be disappointed. "What now? She's not even crying." She glanced at Mary again, smiling slyly. "One more chance, push her into the pool, and the deal's the same." Mary looked at me, her eyes hesitant. Lisa urged her harshly, "What are you waiting for? Do you still want to dive for the watch?" So I watched as a tear-streaked Mary stepped forward and pushed me into the pool. Satisfied, Lisa allowed Mary to leave the pool area. The pool was 2 meters deep, and I had to keep treading water, just to keep my mouth and nose above the freezing surface. Amidst the cold, I heard Lisa giving orders. "Mary's gone now, so you help her fetch that watch." I didn't comply. I just stared back at her expressionlessly. Someone smirked. "She's acting all high and mighty." They brought chairs over and sat by the pool, snickering. "Until you get the watch, don't even think about getting out." They continued to chat and joke among themselves while I was slowly losing body heat. If this kept up, I'd lose strength first. I couldn't just sit there and wait for the inevitable. So under all their watchful eyes, I closed mine and slowly sank under the water. The move was unexpected. By then, the lights were dim with just one bulb on since it was pool closing time. I knew they couldn't see exactly where I was under the dark water. The laughter stopped abruptly. Then Lisa chuckled coldly, "Let's see how long she can hold her breath." Half a minute passed. Lisa didn't seem concerned. "What's the big deal? She's an A-level swimmer, she won't drown." A minute went by. Lisa stood by the pool's edge, shouting angrily. "Luna, I'm telling you to come out. Did you hear me?" At a minute and a half, the panic on the deck was clear. I heard someone whispering, "Forget everything else, that live stream's still on. If those two aren't done playing, then we'll really be in trouble." Lisa screamed, losing it. "This isn't on me. I just wanted to teach her a lesson. You, go get her out." I stayed under, moving stealthily toward the pool's edge, blending into the shadows cast by the dim light. I focused on figuring out who was where above water, ready to pull someone into the cold with me if needed. But before I could fully decide, I heard a loud splash. Someone had dived in, stirring the water and sending bubbles floating up. Before I could react, they were on me, wrapping my waist and pulling me back to the surface. As soon as we broke through the water, strong arms held me securely, half carrying me onto the poolside. Then, Justin hauled himself out, extending his arm to pull me back into an embrace. He checked my breathing, his fingers trembling slightly. I pushed his hand away, coughing weakly. "I'm fine." Water dripped from my hair, like icy tears on my face. "You scared me to death." Justin gripped my hand, bringing it close to his lips, touching it lightly. His fingers were numb from the cold. I shivered, pulling my hand away. But before I managed, I heard approaching footsteps. Looking up, I saw it was Jack. He was late. Justin glanced at Lisa and the others as he took in the situation. Although Jack was soaked through, his presence was still strong and commanding. Lisa and her crew cowered under his gaze. Justin's stare locked onto Jack. "Jack, control your pack." After Jack had herded everyone else away, Justin looked back down at me. He rested his chin on my head. His voice sounded slightly muffled. "If I don't come to you, does it mean you'll never reach out to me?" I pushed against his chest. "Let go, I need to change." The wet winter uniform was heavy and cold. But he didn't budge. Justin's voice, tinged with a nasal whine, sounded almost like a pout. "I attended a history class today." Growling to myself, I couldn't escape but was forced to listen to his nonsense. He continued, "We learned about the fall of the Soviet Union." I asked, "So?" "The Cold War ended," he explained. His grip around me tightened. "Luna, the Cold War is over. Can we make up?" After changing into dry clothes, I checked the time and headed out of the pool area. Justin and Jack were waiting for me at the entrance. Truthfully, I hadn't expected Justin to come. Turns out Mary ran straight to him for help. Remembering Mary's drenched and frantic dash out of the pool, I looked down thoughtfully. Sure, Mary pushed me. But she also ran for Justin to get help right after. So, I couldn't hold it against her. If I can forgive her, then maybe I should forgive Justin and Jack too. Justin spotted me and quickly wrapped a scarf around my neck. Jack offered gently, "Want to see the nurse?" Tears filled my eyes, blurring my vision. They started to fall as I looked at them. Justin, flustered, asked, "What's going on now?" I studied both of them seriously, sniffling, "Thank you. I didn't think you'd really come to help me." "I know I'm just a country kid," I added, awkward and plain, sticking out like a sore thumb among you all. "I'm afraid you'll mock me, look down on me. But why are you still so nice to me?" Justin stopped, taken aback, his expression blank for a moment. Then I stood on my tiptoes, planting a shy, gentle kiss on his cheek. The chat erupted. She kissed him. Mark the time, it's 7 hours 23 minutes and 3 seconds. After all this streaming, I'm not hating the honors kids so much now. She's not too timing, she just didn't want the round-faced girl to get bullied over a love letter. Luna's actually a pretty nice person. When she started as a freshman, she even brought some local specialties to share with everyone. But nobody wanted them, and she stopped bringing them after that. I wonder how Justin and Jack feel now. Do they regret betting with Luna back then? Seriously, doesn't anyone think this guide broadcast is really over the top? Finally, public opinion has completely shifted in my favor. Justin stood there for ages, then suddenly pulled me into his arms, his face all red. Awkwardly he said, "You're a good person. No one's gonna treat you badly. Why do you cry so much? Please don't cry, okay?" I pretended to be embarrassed and buried my face in Justin's chest, but I couldn't help but smile wide. This scene was what I'd been waiting for. Forgive? Grateful? It's all just an act. The only high ground a victim with unformed wings can claim is the moral high ground. They approached me with malice, trying to bait me into disgrace, to break my pride and cover me in filth. But I'm going to make them witness my clear and open soul. I want everyone to see their deep malice, met with nothing but my pure sincerity. When the truth finally comes out, who will be the real clown, and who will be the biggest joke? I can't wait. In the nurse's office. After finishing my ginger tea, I lay down for a nap. Just as I was about to drift off, I heard two people approaching outside the curtain. Someone carefully pulled back the curtain. I heard Justin whisper, "Shoo, she's asleep." Jack lightly replied, "Yeah." Someone put a hand on my forehead. Seeing that I didn't have a fever, they both stepped back outside the curtain. I was almost embarrassed pretending to sleep and was about to wake up, when I suddenly heard Justin speak softly. "Jack, I don't want to continue with that bet. I've stopped the broadcast on the forum and froze the reward pool. Here's the mini camera, give it back to you." Jack paused for a moment. "You've fallen for her?" Justin straightforwardly admitted, "Yeah. After finals, it'll be the school dance for Inus. I'm planning to confess to Luna at the dance." Jack's voice quivered slightly. "What if she says no?" Justin seemed unbothered, sounding confident. "Luna's already kissed me. Besides, isn't my looks and family background top-notch? I'd treat her well." Jack interrupted him, "But what if she already likes someone else?" Hearing that, Justin's tone turned icy. "Jack, I know you've been digging into Luna's past. Whatever you found, it ends here. Let any secrets stay buried. As a trade-off, you can start prepping that West City project." After finishing my last final, I walked out of the exam hall. In the corridor, Justin was waiting for me. When he saw me, he hurriedly stuffed a heavily corrected speech into his pocket and came over with a smile. Before I could speak, he blurted out everything. "I did what I could with math. For the hard problems, I at least wrote something down and copied the prompts. I'll definitely pass." Looking excited, Justin said, "Didn't you say if I pass math, you'd grant me one wish?" As I nodded, he laughed heartily. "Then I want you to come to my villa. I managed to invite my mom's stylist today, consider yourself lucky." That afternoon, Justin left me with the stylist and fled with a red face, said he wanted to keep the dance outfit a surprise. I was pampered with makeup and outfit changes all afternoon, then the old butler drove me to the ballroom entrance. Tonight, it just so happened to start snowing lightly. As I got out holding my dress, the clock tower rang. 7 o'clock, time for the dance. Everything seemed perfect, like destiny. Ignoring the surrounding marveling eyes, I climbed the stairs toward the ballroom. At the majestic, classic entrance, I saw Jack in a tailored black suit. He held a champagne glass, smiling at me. "You look stunning tonight." "Thanks," I replied. Jack seemed tipsy, breathing heavily, his cheeks red. Fixing his eyes on me, he unexpectedly said, "I'm sorry." I froze, puzzled. "What for?" Jack whispered, "For everything." I watched Jack for a long time until he awkwardly looked away, then burst out laughing. Jack, you did nothing wrong to me. In the pool incident, you came right away after I sent my location, didn't you? As for all those things you said, I know you just wanted to scare me into giving you an answer. Jack shook his head ruefully. That answer's irrelevant now. Let's go inside, he's got a surprise for you. He moved aside to let me into the ballroom. As I passed by, I secretly pinched my arm, making my eyes water. With tears brimming, I whispered to Jack, you once asked if I came to Inus for him. Well, I want you to know, I once did. In this world, there's not much truth. But a girl's teary eyes speak louder than 1,000 words. With that, I left without hesitation. Behind me, someone whispered, did Jack just spill his champagne? As I stepped into the ballroom, the lights slowly dimmed. Amidst everyone's gasps, the stage lights came on. There stood Justin in a pristine white tailored suit, with a gleaming rose brooch on his chest. His hair was neatly combed back, revealing a broad forehead, accentuating his sharp, noble features. Justin leaned into the microphone, his voice deep and resonant. Lately, I've been dreaming of someone often. Her studying hard, saving me humbly, even when she was pouting after I teased her about problems. Everything about her captivates me, pulling me towards her. His passionate words stirred the crowd, with some even moved to tears. Meanwhile, several spotlights fell on me. Through the crowd, Justin gazed at me. The language of the Floyd Rose is, you casually wander through my dreams, turning my heart into a blooming garden. You've lingered in my dreams too long. Now, will you come to me? Luna, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? At that moment, rose petals fluttered beautifully, weaving an almost dreamlike scene. Classmates' envious and encouraging looks urged me to say yes. Under the spotlight, I blinked, nervously starting, I. Before I could finish, a harsh static suddenly filled the whole ballroom. Meanwhile, the giant screens on the ballroom walls started flickering and playing footage. First scene. At a staircase corner, Justin angrily watched me run off, muttering under his breath, that country girl won't agree to tutoring, how am I supposed to win her over? I'll ruin her part-time job and see if she dares to refuse me after that. The screen cut to the second scene. Justin held a Floyd rose with a playful excitement in his voice. She gave me a flower, huh? Just watch, I'll get her in 3 days. The scene changed again to a third one. Luna, once you walk out that door today, don't regret it later. The camera shook wildly as the person filming angrily threw things around. Who does she think she is, giving me attitude? Just a low-life flirt. Once I win the bet, I'll ruin her, or I'm not Justin. As the fast-flashing screens showed these malicious words and shocking messages, I paled under everyone's gaze. Justin, standing on stage, froze for a moment before shouting in anger, turn it off. Turn it off now. But all his rage vanished when he saw my tears. With a blank expression for a moment, he walked quickly toward me. Luna, it's not what it looks like. I can explain. I stepped back slightly. Don't come near me. That simple movement said it all. Meanwhile, Jack stepped out from the crowd, positioning himself in front of me. Still holding a wine glass elegantly, he said, Justin, she asked you not to come closer. Justin looked at him, his expression darkening. Was it you? You set up this live footage, didn't you? Jack didn't respond directly but reiterated, Justin, she turned you down. This time, Justin responded with a punch, knocking Jack to the ground amidst everyone's gasps. All these years, you knew how much I like her. Jack, sprawled on the carpet but still smiling, replied, but you know, if I tell that one thing. Justin's fist met Jack's cheekbone. Shut up. He said coldly with a fierce expression, Jack, your family's got a lot of illegitimate children. If I clash with your family, you'll lose your inheritance rights instantly. As they squabbled, the big screens continued playing, transforming into a polling interface. Background audio played with an excited Justin from before, Jack, let's do a live reward pool. All donations from the Conquest live streams will go in. Everyone can bet on when Luna will have her first kiss. Then the screen displayed a massive jackpot total, 5 million. Names of all participants in this betting stream flew by, like a grand public execution. The hall fell silent, almost pin-drop silent. Finally, Jack's smile faltered. He muttered, "I didn't put up this part." The screen showed the final winner's bet time, 7:23 and 3 seconds p.m. Whispers filled the room. "This is creepy, down to the second. Whose vote is that?" Finally, the suspense lifted with the winner's name, Luna. My name. Countless eyes turned toward me. Standing in the spotlight, I gently wiped away my tears and finally smiled sincerely. Justin and Jack looked ashen, staring in disbelief. "Luna?" I nodded at them with a smile. "A bet's a bet, remember to wire the prize to my account." With that, I lifted my dress and left the ballroom without a backward glance. Dormitory. Cuddled snugly under warm blankets, I looked at the message notifying me of the 5 million deposit. For the first time since my rebirth, I felt at peace. Outside the window, along with the falling snow, there was the faint scent of roses. I knew Justin was waiting below in a convertible filled with Floyd roses, hoping I'd come out. He shouted himself hoarse, from apologies to confession, even swearing to never repeat his mistakes. I pulled out his newly blocked number and sent 2 words, "Too noisy." Seconds later, the world fell silent. At 2 a.m., the snow came down harder. Unable to sleep, I decided to study, then noticed fireworks bursting with color outside the window. Justin, no longer shouting, was persistently setting off fireworks one after the other. I drew the curtains, put on earplugs, and turned off the lights to sleep. I didn't know how long I slept before intense knocking woke me up. I removed my earplugs, hearing a commotion below the dorm. Someone fainted, call an ambulance. Hospital, VIP room. I sat beside Justin's bed with Jack. Watching the unconscious Justin, Jack suddenly spoke, "Luna, I've thought long and hard. Even if I lose my inheritance, I want to tell you." I interrupted his confession, mercilessly, "You two are really strange." Looking at this boy, I asked a lingering question, "You haven't even learned basic respect, so how can you pretend to be madly in love with me?" Jack's face turned ghostly pale. The silence hung heavy. I was about to get up to fetch some water when my sleeve was tugged. I looked back at the bed. Justin had his eyes still closed, but his eyelids were tinted red. He was awake. Justin clung stubbornly, whispering, "Please don't go." I pulled his hand away, tucking it back under the covers. Using self-harm to seek forgiveness is really dumb. At that moment, the room door swung open. An old butler entered with a well-dressed middle-aged couple, Justin's parents. Justin's father, looking at his messy son in the bed, trembled with anger, "You disgrace. Look at you. Trying to scare your mother and me?" His mother managed to suppress her anxiousness and gently combed through his hair, turning to me, "You must be Luna. Would you talk with me?" Seeing me nod, Justin struggled to sit up. His eyes were red as he grabbed his mother's hand. "Mom, please persuade her, won't you? I've never liked a girl this much before. Please, I'm begging you." Hospital VIP room. Justin's mother gracefully handed me a cup of tea. She said, "Luna, we're aware of everything. The live streaming was reckless on Justin's part. Your reputation's been ruined. Sky Group will make it right." As compensation, Justin's mother offered me 2 choices. She sipped her tea, looking at me gently. "A lot of people say that true romantics are born only in wealthy families. This might be a bit biased, but there's some truth to it. Justin's been well protected since he was little. He might be a brat, but deep down, he's a good kid." Justin's mom watched my expression, choosing her words carefully. "The first option, the Sky Group sends you both abroad to study. You won't need to worry about expenses. After graduation, if you both agree, you can get married." I have to admit, Justin's mom is pretty smart. Given Justin's stubborn nature, forcing us apart would only make him more rebellious. So she wanted to keep me by Justin's side, taking the long view. For this, she even offered what she thought was an irresistible deal, marrying into wealth and moving up the social ladder. I felt touched, then quickly asked, "What's the second option?" Justin's mom was taken aback. "You don't like Justin, do you?" Hearing this, I looked down. After a long pause, I answered gently, "Maybe. But I'll never be with someone who deceived me." Justin's mom was silent for a moment, then gently patted my head like a kind aunt. "Luna, you're smart. Take some advice from your aunt, stay by Justin's side. Even if you leave now, this hunt won't be over. A young man who doesn't understand love or hate will obsessively pursue you for the rest of his life if he does." Her gaze was deep. "We can't control them forever. Years later, when they catch up to you with all their power, are you sure you'll be able to handle the backlash?" I put down the cold tea, looking calmly at Justin's mom. "Auntie, you forgot something. Years later, when they find me, I won't be the same either. I'll be stronger than all of them." Eventually, Justin's mom agreed to cover the penalty for my transfer and used her connections to secretly send me and my family to a small town in the south. Before I left, she adjusted my coat. "Good girl, Auntie promises you, no one will find you before you turn 20. When I left the hospital, it was still snowing. I didn't cling to the warmth behind me but walked calmly into the howling winter night. In the vast world, only the wind blew snow, covering my head. I walked for what felt like forever until the storm eased. Finally looking up, I saw the bright and radiant sunrise in the east. Epilogue 1. 7 years later. Outside the military district. Jack rushed over, asking immediately, "How did you find her?" Justin held a cigarette that faintly flickered. "Message from Grandpa, probably hoping I'd give up." Jack chuckled bitterly. "Give up? After searching for her for 7 years, that's impossible to just give up now." Suddenly, the sky was filled with the rotor hum of a helicopter. Jack frowned and looked over, seeing a high-tech helicopter hovering over the helipad close by. Then, Jack's eyes widened instantly. The person he longed for was pushing a wheelchair down from the helicopter. She was wearing a light gray trench coat, tall and slender, with a pair of silver-rimmed half-frame glasses. She looked the same, or even more gentle and elegant than before. Jack instinctively wanted to go to her, but Justin stopped him. "Don't move." Justin pointed towards the helicopter. "See the woman in the wheelchair? That's Sue." This name resonated famously. Seeing Jack come to realization, Justin continued. "Sue's been disabled since birth but is exceptionally smart and became an academician at a young age. She researches missile trajectories and currently works for the military industry. Approach her without permission, and you'll have no less than 3 sniper rifles aimed at your head immediately." Jack felt a pang of unease. Why is Luna with such an influential person? Justin crushed his cigarette against the wall, raising a self-mocking smile. "Years ago, we searched every student file from that year's college entrance exam for Luna. Later, I found out she took the exam a year early to avoid us. She's incredibly smart, getting into Harvard's math department a year ahead." The unease in Jack's heart grew stronger. He interrupted Justin, urgently asking, "So, Luna's been taking care of this Sue academician all these years? Seeking protection as her caretaker, right?" Justin looked at him, showing an almost cruel smile. "What are you thinking? She's now Sue's most prized student. Sue treasures her like her own eyes. They returned to introduce her to others. Soon, they'll go to the Northwest for closed secret research." The worst fear in his heart confirmed, Jack leaned against the wall, feeling weak. In such a short time, she climbed to a height he couldn't reach, becoming someone he could never touch. Despite everything, Jack felt a creeping sense of regret. Regret for not breaking her wings when she was still budding, keeping her forever his. Seeing Jack still in a daze, Justin took out an intern journalist ID. He was straightforward. Mary from the TV station is coming for an interview. She owes me a favor from back then. He stuffed the ID into Jack's hand. Don't you have a trump card? They said if you told her that thing, she'd have to choose you. Justin looked into the distance, lighting another cigarette. Whatever you're going to say, just say it if it'll stop her. Inside the military district. The interview went smoothly. Watching Luna respond gracefully, Jack felt like a gutter rat under her dazzling light. After the interview, Jack seized the moment and finally caught Luna alone. 7 years later, he was finally standing before her again. Luna was momentarily stunned, then slowly recognized the man in front of her. Jack? What are you doing here? After all this time, Jack wanted to reach out to her, but hesitated, and pulled back. Luna, back then, didn't you say I looked like the one you loved? Actually, we're each other's true love. He explained what had happened. Jack's real mom was a minor celebrity. She'd done it for fame, bringing young Jack on numerous variety shows. During one parent-child rural show, they stayed across from Luna's house. Finally, a bit of a smile appeared on Jack's face. At 6, I was clueless. You came over to help chop wood and kept me company in the yard for a long time. I've had a secret crush on you from then on. Luna thought for a moment, raising her eyebrows slightly. I remember now. Almost every couple of weeks, new people moved into the house next door. 10 just talking about parent-child reality shows. There were probably more than 10 episodes. So many people, I've long forgotten about them. Jack's smile gradually froze. In other words, he encountered at least a dozen of Luna's kids back then, and he wasn't as special as he thought. Luna spoke again, but for you, I do have some impression. Jack got so nervous, he couldn't help but hold his breath. Luna said, every time I helped those kids, they'd give me a candy. But that time, I chopped wood and you didn't give me anything, so I waited in your yard. Unfortunately, by the time my mom called me home for dinner, I didn't get the candy. This truth was far beyond what Jack could handle. His face went pale, and just as he was about to explain, he heard a strange woman's voice behind him. Luna, why were you gone so long? Jack turned to see Dr. Sue in a wheelchair. Luna smiled and answered, Mentor, I ran into a high school classmate, so we chatted a bit. She passed by Jack and then pushed Dr. Sue's chair away. When they hadn't gone far, Jack heard Dr. Sue gently remind, didn't you say your high school was a mess and not many good people were there? Don't chat with bad people at random. Jack stumbled out of the military compound. Justin approached, so? Did she agree to stay? Jack shoved him aside, stumbling forward, just wanting to leave this wretched place quickly. He got in the car, slumped over the steering wheel. He opened his palm. The moment he saw Luna, he had been holding a black iris lapel pin. When they reunited after so many years, Luna instantly noticed it. For 7 years, Jack had hoped, once he found her and she came back to him, he'd give her this meaningful pin. But now, none of it mattered. The feelings he relived repeatedly over 7 years were just a joke. The black iris pin felt like a mocking black bullet. It transcended time, hitting him right in the forehead at this moment. The flower language of the black iris is hopeless love. Now Jack didn't like its flower language either. Epilogue 2. Justin's family estate, walk-in closet. Justin looked at himself in the mirror, dressed in a suit, and nervously asked his mom, Mom, does this look okay? Is it formal enough? His mom gave him a look of mixed feelings. Not only was his outfit formal, it was downright exaggerated, just shy of having flowers sticking out of his head. A few days ago, Justin heard Luna's seclusion research was over and begged his mom to reach out to her. Justin's mom had no choice. She used a favor from a snowy night years ago to get a meeting with Luna. It wasn't just a meeting, it was more like a match-making in high social circles. Many heirs from wealthy families choose to marry top athletes or social celebrities, not only to introduce fresh blood but also to improve genes. Eligible men and women, meeting needs. Many forces wanted to woo Luna, and Justin's mom knew her son's chances were slim. But everyone knew, Luna, a rising academic star at 27, had never been involved in any scandal. So, Justin's mom decided to give it a shot. Sky Group's outlook was uncertain. As the pillar of the family, Justin's grandpa's health was declining. And Justin, the only child of his generation, wasn't very capable. He could barely maintain status quo. Sky Group's future decline seemed almost inevitable. If they could convince Luna to marry Justin, it might reverse Sky Group's downturn and even propel it to new heights. At this moment, Justin's dad gave his flashy son a cold look. She's the only direct disciple of a national treasure scientist. Even if you dress like a peacock today and flaunt your feathers everywhere, it's unlikely you'll win her over. Justin ignored his dad's discouraging words. He adjusted his cufflinks one last time and said, "Let's go." In a fancy restaurant, 4 of them sat down. After some small talk, they began to serve food. Although Luna wore no makeup, Justin found her strikingly beautiful, especially those serene eyes. He almost wanted to drown in them. The meal passed like a gentle stream. During this time, Justin politely inquired about Luna's research progress, Dr. Sue's health, and her parents' situation. Justin's mom felt a bit relieved. Over the years, her son had finally tempered his bold and straightforward nature. He was mature now, knowing to be courteous first. However, as the meal neared its end, Luna glanced at her phone. "Uncle, Auntie, I have a meeting this afternoon." Justin instinctively reached for Luna's sleeve. Taking a deep breath, he said, somewhat panic-stricken, "Luna, don't go yet. I like you. From the first time I saw you in high school, I've liked you. Will you marry me?" Justin's dad, sipping tea, let out a long sigh. Justin's mom cautiously chimed in, "Luna, I'll be brief so as not to waste your time. If you're willing to marry into Sky Group, they'll provide you with all the support and resources possible. I hope you consider giving Justin a chance and think about this marriage." Luna didn't directly refuse. She handed Justin an invitation instead. Nervously, Justin took the invitation and sighed in relief when he saw it was for a research presentation, surprised he wasn't holding a wedding invite. At the research presentation, Justin sat in the front row of the audience, feeling out of place. Someone curiously asked him, "From your seat, are you related to Dr. Luna?" A secret thrill ran through Justin, but he maintained a poker face, replying mysteriously, "For now, not yet." The presentation soon began, and Luna took the stage to showcase her 2 years of research project results. She was poised and professional, reminding Justin of the times she tutored him. The only thing that bothered Justin was her assistant next to her. The person beside him was oblivious, showering praise on the assistant. "He's Luna's direct apprentice, got into Harvard at 14, quite the prodigy." Justin felt a twinge of annoyance. Prodigy? So he's younger and smarter than him. Justin thought spitefully, youth is overrated. Does this kid know how to make her happy? Neither this so-called prodigy nor Jack could match her. Listening to the boring opening ceremony, Justin remembered seeing Jack just a few days ago. Jack had been fighting for inheritance rights for years and looked haggard, no longer the youthful, stunning guy he once was. Despite being a tech upstart, Jack's family faced a lot of invisible rejections in the industry. Plus, the inheritance battles left them barely hanging on. To Justin, even if Jack's family won, it wouldn't really mean much. That night, Jack got totally wasted. He confessed to Justin that he regretted not totally ruining Luna back then and keeping her like a canary in a cage. Justin didn't hesitate to punch him. He thought his beloved girl should be sitting proudly on a pedestal. She might choose to step down out of love, but she should never be dragged down and sullied. Jack, with a bruised face, laughed maniacally on the ground. Justin glanced down coldly, knowing Jack had finally gone crazy. He said, "Jack, you're not worthy of her." His tone was icy, carrying a warning. Leaving those words, Justin turned and walked away. He thought about how, if he married Luna, they'd have only one child. Boy or girl, just one. And he'd get a vasectomy right after. Maybe he couldn't share Luna's aspirations, but he'd support her. She could continue her brilliant research while he'd ensure their child was the sole heir of Sky Group. Their lineage would intertwine forever. Without realizing it, the conference moved to its final segment, a missile launch simulation. At that moment, Justin noticed Luna, who had previously ignored him, finally looked his way. He was almost flattered, maybe Luna still had feelings for him. Perhaps, during this significant event, she was multitasking by maintaining eye contact with him. Meanwhile, a countdown appeared on the big screen, 10, 9. Justin was puzzled but then realized it was the countdown to the missile launch. On the demonstration stage, Luna was gazing at Justin through the crowd. Her outline was soft, but her eyes were determined. He read her lips, 10, 9. Somehow, the familiar emotion in her eyes instantly took Justin back to the high school swimming pool. He remembered how Luna checked her phone after leaving the pool before looking at him. But at that time, he was ecstatic about the end of the Cold War and didn't notice anything unusual in her eyes. 8, 7. Justin recalled the girl's tears. She tearfully asked, "Why are you so good to me?" At that moment, his heart melted. 6, 5. Then she stood on her toes to kiss his cheek. For years, Justin dreamed of that kiss, waking up to find his pants embarrassingly wet. That month before the school dance was the happiest time of his life. For the first time, Justin tried caring for someone else. He awkwardly asked Luna while she tutored him, "Is helping me hurting your studies?" She shook her head softly, "It's fine. I'm pretty good at multitasking." At that time, Justin didn't realize, he was waiting for the girl to nap on the desk so he could sneak a touch of her fluttering lashes. But now, Justin couldn't stop thinking about her being a pro at multitasking. A late realization dawned. When she kissed him, was she silently doing a countdown in her mind? 4, 3. Back then, Justin was too young to notice how cold that kiss was. Eventually, everything came crashing down. That disastrous school dance was a nightmare he didn't dare recall. Now, he blankly stared into Luna's eyes on stage, remembering her words about multitasking. 2, 1. As the countdown ended, Luna pressed the red button. With a whoosh, the missile in the simulation launched powerfully, like that memory of her kiss. Gentle, cold, and fleeting. Boom. The missile hit the target, and everyone stood up, applauding excitedly. A young researcher nearby was moved to tears, saying, everyone was worried Sue's declining health would leave her without a successor. But Luna proved herself worthy of her mentor's legacy. An elderly person sighed, among so many geniuses, Luna may not be the brightest but surely the hardest working. Growing up tough has made her tireless in studies, putting us to shame. No wonder she became Sue's successor. While everyone celebrated, Justin felt cold as ice. Luna's gaze had already wandered off, and his hands trembled. He couldn't help thinking of that cursed time, 7:23 and 3 seconds p.m. It was all a pre-set countdown. Back in high school, she silently pushed her first launch button. That missile had destroyed any chance they had of being together.